So today we solve real life simple interest applications, and we're going to use a table to solve these. Okay. So the interest formula is pretty simple. To find out how much interest you're going to make, you take the P times the R times the T. P is your principal, that's what you start with. Your rate, that's the interest rate, is a decimal. So like 5% would be 0.05, 20% would be 0.2. And then time is how long you leave it in the account, and we express that in years. And just assume in all of the word exercises that if they don't tell you how long, we're just talking about years, okay? So it could be as simple as this. So Pete invested, well, let's first, I like to write down the formula. So interest is principal, and PRT, that means principal times rate times time. Well, he invested $2,000. So that would be my P, right? So 2,000. P is 2,000. In an account paying 4.5%. So 4.5%, that would be my R, right? And writing that as a decimal, that is, move a decimal place over 2.045. Again, you move the decimal place over 2, change it to a decimal. And then the question is, if he leaves the money alone, how much will he have after 7 years? So, principal times rate times time, I'd say T is 7. So I could type in my calculator, 2,000 times 0.045 times 7. And I did this before. I got is $630. And this is your interest earned. So in a complete sentence, I would say, after 7 years, Pete he would have $630, or he earned $630 in interest, right? So just a note, after 7 years, Pete will have earned $630 in interest, and because he left that principal alone, is $2,000. If you add that to the 630, you get 2,630. So the question was kind of vague, so I listed both. So how much will we have after 7 years? I would say you'd have 2,630. If the question was, how much interest did he earn after, I would say 630. So I put them both. Sometimes if you're not quite sure what the question wants, you can just list both, just to be safe. Questions on that one? This is an example of plug and chug. You have the principal, you have the rate, you have the time. just plug into a formula. Okay, I'm going to show you 3 more examples today. And the next example is find a principal for 2 accounts. So you have money in one account, money in another account, and you know the interest rate and you know the time, but you don't know how much money is in either account. Or maybe you only know how much in one account. So you make a table, and it's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. And it's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines the other way. A table is a great way to organize data. Keeps me organized. And then on all of these, we're going to make this our principal column. We're going to make this our R column. And we'll make this be our PR column. Preview something real fast. Okay. Now, to make these problems simpler, normally we'd have a T column for time, but in all of our examples and everything in the homework, I believe we keep time as just 1 year, which is times 1. So we don't really need a T column with a 1 in it, okay? But normally you'd have a P, an R, and a T. So your answer would be principal times rate times 1, because time is going to be a year for almost all of these examples. So first, Joey invested $10,000. So I need to decide, well, $10,000. I should just read the question. He invested $10,000 for 1 year at 10% annual interest and the remaining balance at 15% annual interest. His total interest for the year was $1,200. How much money did he invest at each rate? Okay, so he has 2 investments. Let's call this investment number 1. And this investment number 2. And we'll make this be our total column. So in this table, I'm going to list the principal for investment number 1 here, principal for investment number 2 here. If I know how much they have all together, I could put it here. I'm going to put my for investment number 1 here, my investment for, or my rate for investment number 2 here. And then I'm going to multiply P times R, put it there, P times R, put it there. And this would be total amount of interest earned, my total PR. PRT, but T is 1. So he invested $10,000 for 1 year. Let's put $10,000 here. And it was at 10% annual interest. So what would R be for my 10,000? Huh? 0.1 or 0.10? Okay. But then he put the remaining balance at a 15%. Do we know what the remaining balance is? We don't. That's what we're trying to find. So let's put an X. at 15%, what's 15%? Investment. 0.15. And we know his total interest for the year was $1,200. Well, total interest for the year goes here. This is called a table method. We're going to organize the information we know, fill it in, set up an algebraic sentence, and then solve. Well, if I wanted to know the total, this would be 10,000 plus x, right? And then we don't really put anything here ever, okay? But this would be 10,000 plus x. 10,000 in the first account plus what in the second account? We don't really need to know that information right now. But if I take 10,000 times 0.1, which means take off 1 0, that would be $1,000, correct? 10,000 times 0.1. The PR means P times R. And then X times 0.15 would be 0.15X. It told me the total amount invested, I would use this information. Okay, but I don't know the total amount invested. I just know it's 10,000 plus X. I do have a mathematical equation because they made 1,000 off investment number 1, they made 0.15x off investment number 2, and in total they made 1,200 on both investments. So my equation would be 1,000 plus this one equals 1,200. So that is my sentence that I can make from that. I'm going to solve for x, and then x would be the principal for investment number 2. I already knew the principal for investment number 1, 10,000. So solve this, subtract 1,000 from both sides. See, 12,000 minus 1,000 is what, 200? 200 divided by 0.15. And I get 1,333. This is the part I stress that you need to make sure you read, is how much money did he invest at each rate? Well, at 10% interest, he invested 10,000, right? I should just call him by his name, Joey. And at 15% interest, Joey, or he invested 333. So did I answer the question? How much money did he invest at each rate? Yes, at this rate he invested this, at this rate he invested that. Any questions on this problem? No? Start with an argument. Are you done now? Okay. You're welcome. So we found a P. Now example number 3 is, what if you're trying to find the R? R is interest rate. And all of these, and for the rest of this unit, you're going to be making a table. And I made a mistake last problem. I need to make my first column a little wider so I have more room, because that's where you put more information. So it's going to be a 5 by 5 once again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, a little bit bigger this time. 2, 3, 4. Never make it quite big enough. 5. 5 by 5. And for the most part, this is always going to be P. This is going to be R. This is going to be PR. You're going to be talking about 2 investments. So we'll make this be investment number 1. And investment number 2. And this is going to be our total. So you can kind of get in practice, just copy down that table with every single problem. Now, a true investor invests in more than 2 things. Because if you invest all your money in one and it goes to flop, well, then you lost all your money. Okay, so to keep things simple, even though in real life we actually invest in more than 1 thing, more than 2 things, we're going to just keep it at 2. We're not to that level. So Lindsay, I like to read the question first, just like our decoding strategy says. Lindsay invested some money for 1 year at 10% interest, annual interest. Okay, that's why I left the T column out, because anything times 1 is itself. And she invested around $7,000 into another account. After the 1 year, she earned around $1,100 in interest, almost $1,200. So what was the rate of the second investment? Huh? I'm going to go through all the numbers now. She invested $2,750. Let's go through that first number. Which box do you think that's going to go in? The what? Thank you. I don't know why I put R twice. That should be a P. Guess I like R. My name has 2 R's, so maybe I'll just copy my name, right? Yeah, P column. And that could be our investment number 1, right? So I'm going to put it here, $2,750. And that has 10% interest. So where does 10 go? In the R with investment number 1, right? And as a decimal, that is 0.1. And she invested the $7,250 into another account. Where'd that go? After 1 year, and again, all of these problems are a year, that eliminates one of our variables, and otherwise it becomes a 3 variable problem. We're not quite ready for that. After 1 year, she earned $1,181 in interest. Where would that go? Total, is that her total principal? Her total rate? Nothing's going to ever go there. So is it total principal or total interest? Total interest. So 1,000, and I should have left more room. 1,181.25. Can you guys see that okay? 1181.25. Yellow's not the best color in the world. So then the question is, what was the rate of the second investment? We don't know, so let's make that X. So what we're going to do is we know total interest. So we're going to fill in this one, we're going to fill in this one, and then this plus this equals that. And that's our equation. So first, what is 2750 times 0.1? Move the decimal place over, 275, right? What is 7,250 times x? Well,